Gull, your money mindset expert, and I'm so excited. I'm speaking to the one only Eric Martel. Welcome, Eric.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Good
I'm
morning.
so excited to be talking to you, Eric. And Eric, everyone's heard your intro. They've heard how fabulous you are. You're a rock star. But please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
So currently I have a company called Flip System, and where we're helping individuals who want to become a real estate investor. We're providing the online training, the coaching, the network, the community, the software, everything you need to be successful. So that's what I do. And that's basically came on the back of 10 years or more of real estate investment experience that I've done in the United States with single family rentals.
Wonderful, fabulous. Okay, so tell us, Eric, how did you get started? Talk us through your journey. I mean, where did you, and it would be interesting for you to tell us where you started. I am assuming you weren't born in America, so you migrated over. Talk me through your journey.
So yeah, it depends how far you want to go, but
Let's start at the beginning.
So I started I lived in Montreal, and that's kind of where I started. And really, I was 18 years old at university, and I met a real estate investor who this basically became my mentor. And so he was a real estate investor. And the thing that was interesting, I don't know if you know about Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I do.
Robert Kiyosaki. And this was really my Rich Dad, Poor Dad moment, because my father was very much like working at the factory, aluminum plant, punching, your time.
The card, yeah.
And then this guy was a real estate investor doing very well. And, and so he agreed to coach me, but it's not like he was just a regular guy. He was a community college teacher, and he was not even teaching finance or accounting or anything like that. So it's not like he was just a regular guy, is my point. He was not making a huge amount of money. He was not private equity. He was none of those things. So, but he managed to be successful. And so he basically coached me. And that's how I did my first deal, an 8-unit apartment building. After doing a lot of phone call and talking to people and analyzing deal, I probably analyzed like 500 deals before one of them actually made sense, because I needed a deal that would basically be cash flowing with no money down. So you can imagine that it doesn't happen very often.
No.
And so I had to find the financing from a bank, for a credit union, actually, for 80% of the loan. And then the seller was financing the extra 20% of that loan. And so again, another complexity to the deal. And so I managed to buy it, no money down, and cash flowing around like $280, $250 a month, if I remember correctly. And that was...
Which is a part-time income for a student.
Yes, exactly. And I think my rent, I think, was $300 a month. So it was kind of covering at least that. So that was great. But what's important is not really the deal itself. It's really like a change in my mindset, that I was able to do a deal like this with no money, that I was able to be able to make money without kind of like working hours and hours. And so that really changed my mindset, that it really enabled me to see the world differently and see the investing world differently. Couple of mistakes that I've made, I think, is that I was introduced to a number of network business people in the network of a real estate investor, and I visited projects and all that. And what the issue that I had was that I was seeing myself as cash poor instead of being time rich. I had tons of time to do things, to do research, potentially help other investors to do something. And that was kind of an opportunity that I missed at that time. So I kind of focused on the fact that I didn't have cash, and I said, well, I better find a job. And then, then once I have money, then I'll be able to invest. And that was kind of a little bit of downfall. I don't know what would have happened if it would have been the other way around, where I would have said, screw this. I was studying as an actuary in actuarial math to be an actuary. So yeah, so that's basically, after that, I moved to different cities, like from Montreal to Toronto, Ontario. Really couldn't find anything that made sense when I ran the numbers. Like these big cities, you can't really find things that are going to cash flow.
I think Canada is also very, very expensive as well, from
Yes,
what I
well, now
hear.
it is definitely, yes.
Yeah, and historically, I think it is compared to US market. I don't know why. The US economy is always stronger than the Canadian economy, but for some reason, Canada is always more expensive, and
I
real
think it's
estate wise,
about the
anyway.
construction. They don't build as much as
Maybe that's the reason why.
yeah.
Mm.
And the interest rate typically is a little bit higher than the US as well.
Yes, it is. I suppose the economics and the policies are dealt differently, so
Yes,
that all contributes to the pricing.
yeah.
Okay,
And
so how did you? So this is a great point, because I think nothing happens for there's no such thing as coincidence, and nothing happens to you. Everything's happening for you. So this is a great point for those of you listening. I just want to reiterate the point that Eric just made. It may be that some of you are in the exact same boat and you have the skills and strategies to be able to do the same sort of deals, but you're thinking the similar lines as you were at that time, you know, that I'm cash poor, rather than thinking actually you're time rich.
yes.
And it's not necessarily that you need money yourself. You can raise finance. Money comes to you if you have an idea and you have the gumptions to stick to that. Yeah, okay, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make it happen. When you make that decision, I'm going to make it happen. Money sort of comes to you, it finds its way to you, because you will have people who can look at you. I mean, even in the savvy investor, they can look at you and they can see your plan, that you've got a solid deal, and they can partner up with you. And that's how money is attracted to you. But you have to find the deals first. You have to do the work first, and not use lack of money as your excuse, which I think a lot of people use as, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. Well, go and find the money, but your money will come to you once you find the deal, once you have the idea, once you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And secondly, make the decision to do it. I think far too many people, I want to do this, but they fail to make the decision to carry out whatever they want to do. How true have you found that to be in your case? Because I think you're a prime example of that. You've done it once, and then you went ahead to do it.
And my motto is that it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're always short a couple of millions. So
100%. I made that 10. I made that 10.
That's what I live by. So you always, but the thing is that you have, so even if you have the deal, you need to be able to pitch that deal to investors. You need to know where these investors are. And here in the US, we have something called Meetup. I don't know if you have something like that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, similar.
So there's a lot of real estate investment meetup, and you can take your deal and you can go and talk to individuals and say, hey, you know, I'm looking for this deal. I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for an investor. I'm looking for a lender. And then you can have these discussions with these people. But you have to know how to pitch it. How do you talk about this opportunity, and why do you think the opportunity is good? Why you're the right person to execute this deal and make it successful? What's your track record? And all of that. And so I think once you know how to do that, then it becomes a lot easier. And I always recommend always network with individuals that are going to lend you money, because you're always going to be short money.
Yeah.
Money.
I'm going to go back to this point again. I think it's less to do with, even if your track record, and more to do with your confidence. I think the point you just said, how to sell yourself. You need to come across that you may, because you didn't do it. You when you looked at 500 deals, that's a lot of work, which not many people do. Hence, not many people are able to do that kind of deal at the age of 18. And by the way, congratulations for even having the sensibility to put the hard work in, because most 18-year-olds are out in the pub having a drink or a pint or whatever they do, right? So very few people at the age of 18 would put the graft in, put the hard work in to get to a deal. So well done for that. But it's more to the point where it not necessarily having a track record, but having the confidence, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make it happen somehow. Whether you're part of it or somebody else is part of it, this deal is going to materialize. You can either jump on board and come with me for the ride, or watch from the sidelines. And I think that confidence allows people to have, it creates a FOMO in somebody like, oh, this person's going for, I want to be on his journey. I don't want to be a part of it. Whereas even if they have the money and you may have done 2 deals, but if you don't come across with that confidence that you can do it again, it could be pot luck.
Mhm.
You got lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
How do you build confidence in yourself? Even if for example, you moved from Canada to US, it's a different market.
Mhm.
How did you build that confidence that you can repeat your success and actually become more successful here?
So I think part of it was, I don't know, I've always been confident, I think. And I think my education, I mean, I'm looking back at my high school and all that. I had great teachers, and I was able to, I don't know, like I always did things a little bit unusual. So I would a lot of the, like chemistry, for example, I'm just going to be very specific. I did chemistry and physics, and it was kind of like a uh, self-study kind of guide. And
Yeah.
you have classes, but you had a lot of exercise that you had to do on your own, or labs and stuff like that. And I would be ahead of the class in those labs. So when some of the work happened, like or the classroom happened, I said, well, I've already done all those things. So I would work on something else. So I would work on crossword puzzle for English class. And then when came English class, and then the students were doing the crossword puzzle, well, I've made it, so I didn't have to do English class and blah, blah, blah. And then so anyway, so I was involved a lot in the high school, and I had access to the lab, the chemistry lab, to do some experiments and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, this is, that I
The
learned
self-belief.
because of that, I learned that if I wanted something, I can go for it, ask, and then the worst thing that they can do is say no, I
Yeah,
don't want to do
exactly. That's the worst. No.
it. But they said yes. People said yes, to my surprise, to let like a 16-year-old in a chemistry lab with all these very dangerous chemicals. And
I
but
think,
that's kind of
yeah.
how my life went. And so I didn't know any better in terms of confidence. I said, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And when you're 18 years old, what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose everything I own. I had no money. I had nothing.
Yeah.
So
I suppose I think you're reminding me of something that I heard recently. And I would love to give credit to the person who I heard this from, but I don't remember the person's name. And he said, entrepreneurs are born, they're not created.
mm,
And you don't grow into becoming an entrepreneur. You unlock your entrepreneurial side through
mhm,
various aspects of your life and circumstances, and the courage. Basically, your courage unlocks it. But
yeah,
you either are, you're not. And as I've done more of these podcast episodes on money mindset and money talkies, I find that to be the case, and I think that idea really resonated with me, because every entrepreneur I speak to, they are always the oddball. They are, they sometimes develop the confidence and they unlock it, but they always have that self-belief. It's always, I can do it, I'm going to do it, and then they go in and they do crazy stuff, and sometimes fall flat on the face. And that's part of the process. I have many times I've fallen flat on my face,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it doesn't faze me. I get up and brush myself off and carry on. And
yeah,
that's one quality I found with all entrepreneurs. And you're highlighting the same thing. And that usually you start seeing that as a child. They do things themselves. They take their own initiative. When you're
yeah.
talking about studies, I did the same thing. I mean, I had an option. I was doing 5 A-levels. And I was always studying myself. So I was always head of the class. And I went to not particularly a great college. And so especially my biology was absolutely atrocious. I knew more than he did. And that's
Mm,
saying something, at A levels. But it was, yes, but that work ethic, that self-belief that I had as a 16, 17, 18-year-old still resides in this woman, who's in her
yeah.
40s now, and it helps me in my business. That was with my studies, and now it helps in business. And you're repeating the same thing, that child, 16, 17, who's in that chemistry lab, fumbling around, doing it, having this confidence to be able to play with chemicals, essentially, is the man who grew up to become an entrepreneur who's playing with millions.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that I don't want to say, yeah, but you can unlock that in yourself. So
Yes.
if you were not as lucky as I was, and surrounded by great teachers, that said yes to crazy things you would you want to do, you know, you can still unlock it. And even after that, I mean, this was only a stepping stone. After
Of
that,
course.
you know, then you kind of you do more things, and then you say, oh my, you know, and you go through your fears. You have fears about doing anything. I mean, the first single family rental that I bought, I mean, I still remember being afraid of losing the earnest money deposit, $500. I was afraid to lose $500. Like, sounds ridiculous. And but then that grew into, you know, into bigger deals where I had to put, you know, an earnest money deposit of, you know, $50,000. So, you know, and I was not as afraid to lose the $50,000 as I was losing that
500. Oh yeah.
right? Because you kind of grow into it. You take
Yeah.
some small steps, you take some small risk, and then calculated risk, and then you realize, oh, you know, that's pretty good. But this is just like 500, and then it goes to 1,000, and then, you know, and you kind of build that resilience and that confidence as the more deals but you start small, and then as you have more deals behind under your belt and all of that, you gain that confidence and the you know, and the resilience to go forward, I think.
Sounds amazing. So,
So
you know, what made you come from Canada to US? What's the
yeah,
motivation
so that's
behind
good.
that?
That's a good transition. So basically, I worked as an actuary for, you know, a number of years. I mean, I think it was 6 years or 7 years, and I didn't really like the job. I was basically getting rid of what the defined benefit pension plan. So I was getting rid of all the corporate pension plan around the Canada and converting them into a defined contribution plan. And I didn't like that. I mean, it's really hurting the employees, because now the burden of risk for your retirement is moved from the employer straight on the shoulders of the employees who don't know how to invest, don't know how to save, don't know how to, you know, extract the money for a pension and all that kind of stuff. So I quit that and went into high tech, and joined a company after a few years. Joined a company that was headquartered in Silicon Valley, California. And they gave me like stock options, and I didn't know what stock options were, but pretty soon, after a few splits and the price was going up like this. So that was in the 90s, 97, 96, 97, something like that. And so I had tons of stock options that were valued with multi-million dollars of stock options. And I said, oh, wow, this is fantastic. And then I wanted to, I wanted to move to California. I wanted to move out. I was actually looking at just moving out of where I was out in Toronto. And so, yeah, we decided to go to the headquarters in California with my wife and my two sons, my two young sons. And so now I had tons of money, but then now I had to find deals. So I wanted again to invest in real estate. I said, well, now I have all that money. I have millions of dollars that I can tap into, and I can go and find real estate. And that's what I started doing. Started looking for deals, talk to other real estate investors out there. And the thing is that the deals didn't make sense in the San Francisco Bay Area. It was a very expensive area. And so if you buy a deal, like, and you finance it normally, like 80% financing, you put your 20% down, the deal doesn't cash flow.
It
So you
didn't
have
stack up.
negative
Yeah.
cash. Yeah. So then you have to put more cash in it till it cash flows. But then of course your cash on cash return then is 1%, 2%.
Yeah.
It's just, that didn't make sense. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to keep it in the stock market, keep my money in the stock market. And then the dot-com crash happened. And so a lot of these stock options were basically wiped out.
Oh, wow. Yours as
I
well?
had converted, yeah, some of the stock, I had some that were in stock options. I had converted some of these stock options in a stock portfolio that was managed by a money manager. And then they were taking like a cut of the assets under management, like 2% or something like that fee. And even that, the whole stock market collapsed. So all the money that I thought I had really was not there. So so I had to go back from basically from square one. I had some money left, but I mean it was nothing incredible. I couldn't do real estate, so I said, well, what else am I going to do? I was working obviously, but we decided to do other things like a low carb grocery store. We did a gourmet sauce company. I started my own independent consulting company to kind of like.
Were you not still employed? I thought you were still employed.
I was employed, but after a while, I just like, okay, well, let's move on. Like I need to. I had a very, what's the word? I had a very loose relationship with employment and how I got paid for the work that I did. So it didn't matter to me like be an employee, like what we call a W-2 employee, a full-time employee versus a contractor. So to me, I had a very loose relationship with that. So I would go in and out of employment to independent contractor like very easily. And it really surprised a lot of people for some reason, but that's just what happens. The other thing too is that I like the control piece of it. I'm not a control freak, but I like some control. And what the stock market showed me is that these investments, I'm not in control of these investments. The stock market decided that, hey, you know what? We don't believe in technology anymore, in these .com company. So all these things that we told you was worth like, this much money. Really? Like, did you realize they were not making any money? Yes, we did. Oh, well, that's not good. Yes, we know. So now they decide, oh no, you know what? This has no value, and then hundreds of companies basically went under.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I wanted to have something in control. If the company that I have is going to lose money or is going to fail, at least it's going to be my fault, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why that was my mentality, kind of at the time. And it's
I'm gonna ask you a question here. So this is quite crucial.
Yeah.
When you go through a process like that, when you see, millions in your stock exchange, in your stock options or in your portfolio, and something like the .com crash or the property crash or whatever, when things like that happen, and they happen in cycles. I think we're up for a new crash sometime soon now anyway, so they keep talking about it. Both property as well as for the stock market. How do you, and that obviously now you have the benefit of the experience, but when you first go through it, in your 20s or your 30s with a young family, how does that impact your mindset? How does that impact you? Because obviously 1 minute you've got millions and you're quite safe and secure with your family, especially with a young family. Like I've done pretty well, and then all of a sudden it's brought down to almost zero. We can laugh about it now, but I know at the time it's pretty heartbreaking. How do you keep going, and how do you resolve that emotionally within yourself to, okay, it's done, let's move on?
Yeah, so I actually surprised myself on how I reacted to losing millions of dollars. But to me, like there's nothing I can do.
No.
So I just move on. So I focus on what I can do, and that's how it is. So I'm also not afraid on a plane if the plane is bouncing up and down and everybody's scared and stuff like that. Well, my family can tell you, I just continue reading my book, and it's like there's nothing I can do. If the pilot can't fly this plane, well, that's it. They can't do anything. It's not like I'm gonna go and replace him or her and say,
jump
hey,
out
you
the
know
plane,
what,
or
you're
jump
doing a
out,
horrible job. I don't like your driving. I'm sorry, but move over. I'm gonna take over. So it's a little bit like that where there's nothing I can do. It's in the past. I have to deal with where I am today.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a great mindset to have. I think because I really do believe in positive mindset, but you are allowed to have a low moment, when you first find out. So you are allowed to cry, you are allowed to be upset.
Yeah.
But it's those people who, okay, they've had their emotional, they released their emotions, they got over it, and then they stand up and actually do exactly that. They get over it, like, okay, next. What's next? I know I mean, when I was looking and dabbling in trading, I said dabbling because I thought I was trying to be a full-time day trader. There was a day when I lost 60,000 in one account and 20,000 in the second account, and they literally lost them in the days of each other. And I thought this 20,000 was the more conservative one, and I blew that too. But it's I mean, I laugh about it now. But even at the time, I remember the very next day, okay, khalas, okay, what can I learn from this? And I purposely stopped trading because I can't be going into this again. That goes revenge training, and that's really bad mindset. So I didn't trade for a long period of time. I didn't allow myself to trade. But in terms of, did I let it get me down? No, I just got off and carried on doing other works, and it paid. So I think you have to build resilience. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be resilient, and you are going to face downturns. I think if you expect all this to be hunky-dory and things go up and up and up, you're setting yourself up for fail. You need to know that you are going to have hurdles, and you're going to be times when you come flat on the ground and you start from scratch again. But that's part of the journey. And as long as you're mentally aware of it, you can make a success out of it. So this has been absolutely fantastic, Eric. Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Give us a parting advice that you would go and give to your 18-year-old self.
So I would say don't focus on what you're missing, focus on what you have. And then you can fill the gaps with other people that can help you achieve your goals.
Fabulous advice. Tell us, Eric, how can we find you? Where can we connect with you on the internet?
So the best place is Eric Martel Official on pretty much all social media platform, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. For now, who knows what's going to happen with TikTok, but yeah, Eric Martel Official.
Wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, then the links for Eric will be on the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have the links for Eric's work. Go check him out. Go follow him on social media and see how he can help you with your investing, especially real estate investing journey. Thank you so much, Eric, for being here and being such a fabulous and speaking so candidly and openly about your journey. We would love to have you back on Money Talkies later on. But today, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening to me and Eric today on Friday Feature. I will be back with another amazing guest finding out how they changed their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.